Now, the Metal Gear series follows the exploits of this sort of really tough warrior guy. His name is Snake. Now, Snake first made his appearance on the original NES version of Metal Gear, and that was really the first game to sort of introduce the stealth genre of games. Now, you would sneak around the environments rather than confronting your enemies straight on, and the point of the game was to avoid being seen. Now, this was radical at the time because, you know, all games involved killing back then if you were a soldier. But what was incredible about it is it actually took avoiding the enemies and fleshed it out into a really, really fun game. Now, outside of that, what they did is they actually made a really solid story. Now, the idea with Snake is that he's a sort of hardened, sort of warrior or soldier in the Metal Gear Solid series, and he's brought back into duty because a terrorist group going by the name of Foxhound, which happens to be his former unit, has a nuclear warhead and is threatening to launch it. So his old colonel sort of gets him back into the game out of retirement and has him sort of go after this rogue group of terrorists. In doing so, he discovers pretty early in that the lead terrorist looks exactly like him, and his name is Liquid Snake, and your main character uses the codename Solid Snake. So basically the game had you going through these incredible environments, sneaking around, trying not to be seen, to eventually confronting your counterpart. Now, if you've never played the Metal Gear Solid series, I suggest you block your ears if you plan on really enjoying this franchise, because I'm about to give out a pretty big spoiler here. One of the incredible things about Metal Gear Solid 1 was that you found out at the end of the game that all of those people that you had been trying to avoid killing as you went throughout the game were in fact clones of you, and that all those soldiers are really the result of genetic testing that had been done to create you, and that your character, Solid Snake, in fact was a test tube baby and was created using gene therapy and sort of gene experimentation. Not only that, but the main character discovers that his father, who he'd killed in the original Metal Gear game, turns out to not have actually been his father, but he was actually a clone of that person. And that the person you were fighting and going after, Liquid Snake, was also a clone from there too. So the idea being that if you really look at the sort of hidden message that's in there, is that you have this game and it's a sort of violent sort of game, but the object to not kill each other sort of gives the undertone that really we're all the same. And we're really all, in this world maybe even, cut from the same cloth. So that, when I finished Metal Gear Solid and sort of realized that there was a sort of grand narrative sort of lesson about it, and that it wasn't just about playing this game, I really gained a lot of respect for Hideo Kojima, because what he tried to do is, really for the first time I can ever remember, speak to the gamer directly and say, hey look, yes, you're playing this game, yes, there's an objective here, but maybe you should think about some other issues, or maybe I can use this game as a tool to break that fourth wall and really teach you about other issues, primarily the purposes and the needlessness of war. So really, Metal Gear Solid, for anyone who remembers playing it, not only was incredible because you faced these boss characters who you actually ended up respecting and caring for at the end of the battle, strangely enough, but at the end of the game, you were left with this sort of feeling that, what's war good for? And thank goodness, I didn't kill too many of those people because they were really me. And really, for me, that was a defining moment in it.